What are your thoughts on this issue of game changing? Is it all big hype? Is it all, is it fundamentals we've got to be focusing on? What are your views in the context of game changing? And what do you believe it takes to change the game, and what opportunities are you seeing?
For me, this topic is really at top of my mind at the moment, just where our business is positioned and exactly how I got to where I am in my career, and how I started. There's been so much that's been presented to me in the last couple of months around potential to grow this business to the next level. And, there's a tendency of being slightly more conservative as a woman. You look at it and you think, am I the right person to lead this change? Can I really ultimately be the game changer that can take a $250 million fund to $1 billion? I'm looking at potentially listing this, Delta Africa on the Dubai Exchange, hence why I was in Dubai. And I look at this and I look at myself and I have these philosophical discussions in my head saying, am I the person? Because as women, you always tend to look at yourself and say, actually, maybe somebody can do it better than I. And you look at your male colleagues and you think, look at this property industry. It's full of these bullish men. They're so aggressive. I had a massive argument with one of the big listed funds last night, and it's the same old story. They're bullies. They're aggressive. They try and push you in a corner. Maybe it's because I'm a smaller fund. Maybe it's because I'm a woman. Maybe I'm seeing ghosts. But, at the end of the day, you have massive challenges as women in this industry. And I think, from my side, ultimately to be a game changer is to be able to really put yourself out there, to make the difficult decisions. I've heard no so many times. Zola mentioned raising capital. I'm trying to raise $250 million at the moment, and I must have had no at least 60 times. And I wake up in the morning and I think, my husband says, isn't it enough for you? Isn't it enough? You've got 2 listed funds. Is it not enough? When is enough? And I said to him, you don't understand. It's not about the money. I heard earlier, it's not about the money. It's about the passion and the love for what we do. And from my early days when my mom and dad didn't have enough money to send me to varsity, and I was like, what now? I had to knock on the door of BDO and say, I'm straight out of school, give me a loan, help me study. Things have been challenging along the way, and I reflect back on, how we've got to where we've got to as a business, and I see some of my wonderful colleagues sitting here, and I think about all the doors that have been slammed in my face, and all the guys that have said, Delta, B-listed fund, government property, they've lost their mind. Have you seen the government in South Africa? Are they ever going to list something like this?
Every single day, you will not be able to be the perfect wife, be the executive, be the perfect mother, be the good friend and the great daughter. And it's not going to happen every day. Try, balance your life in blocks. Be a great wife this week. He'll forgive you next week. He'll forgive you next week. Okay, work is a little different, but again, with work, you don't always have to stay till 10 p.m. to prove that you're great. When there are busy periods, lean in, do what you need to do, but when there aren't busy periods, also feel comfortable with, taking a step back and leaving the office at 3:30 or 4 and going to go pick your child up from school if that's what you enjoy doing. Having spent the last 10 years in the big bad world of entrepreneurship and literally trying everything, going with what interests me, what feels right. I think it was Sean earlier who spoke about seeing opportunities and seeing problems and where you can fix them. So my whole journey has been that. And then to come back into corporate, and a lot of people saying to me, but how is it that you can go from being an entrepreneur and then going into, a full-time job? And I said, it's interesting because as an entrepreneur, you don't stop being an entrepreneur when you're not entrepreneuring, It's not a job description, it's not a job title, it's a way of thinking, and it's a way of looking at problems and a way of developing solutions that can be applied to every aspect of your life. And in fact, quite a popular term right now in management, in the management studies community, is intrapreneurship, as we all know. And that really looks at how, even if you've never owned a business, but how can you be an entrepreneur even within an organization? And how can you bring those key qualities into that organization to take the organization forward? And even as a manager or a leader of a corporation, how can you harness those qualities? Because we all know that entrepreneurs are renowned for innovation. and risk, you know. And these are things that are crucial to moving forward and are crucial to game changing and are crucial to actually you know, resisting and combating all of the challenges that we see right now. Adaptability is also a very key quality of entrepreneurs. How do we bring these qualities into our work? How do we look at ourselves even as employees, as entrepreneurs, and how do we bring that innovation into the environment that we're in, and therefore mitigate the risks that we see in the market right now?
I work for government, and I have worked for the state in one form or another my entire professional life. So I have to deal with the expectation that I'm lazy, that I'm incompetent, that I'm sloppy. And I'm anything but. So even before we get to property and so on, part of the cloak I have to take off every morning is that this is not who I am. And incidentally, the people that I work with are anything but. So the kind of, when we talk about government and we typify them in a particular way, the people that I work with every day are not like that. And that's the first burden for me, is to change the expectation in the perceptions that people have of what government is like, and the city in particular. The second is, you know, earlier on in the morning session, I was listening to everybody talking about thinking. And I kept on thinking, but I kept on thinking that I feel more than I think. I feel first, and allow myself to be bothered. And then I think about the things that bother me, and I try and do something about the things that bother me. And I think as women, that's the one thing that we feel. But sometimes we don't bring that to the work world, right? So you must think and you must do. And I was thinking how important it is for us to allow ourselves to be bothered. So I'm very bothered by injustice in any form. I'm bothered by the fact that informal is equal to illegal. And one of the things I try and do is figure out how do we, because if you think about it, a lot of people are informal, are like you and I. They're trying to feed their families, they're trying to put a roof over their heads. Why is it that our interface with them is with disdain and treating them as criminals? And that bothers me at the core of who I am. And then because it bothers me so much, I spend my time thinking of ways to disrupt how the system works. And I work in an environment that's very system and process and rule-based. So being a game changer and expanding the box isn't as easy, but it's actually a lot of fun.
I actually think that, like, you know, people put up defenses because there's actually an underlying insecurity. So, like, you know, as you get older, you get wiser about these things. And I think that whether there's truth to that, I think there's you know, the old boys club, and this is how we do things, and we're not going to let the newbie in or whatever it is. But it is intimidating. I can imagine it. Like, can you imagine Bronwyn in a discussion with these guys and how intimidated they would feel? So all I'm saying is that you absolutely, you know, point taken. Like, you know, because they don't know how to deal with stuff. So when we put stuff on the table, it's the stuff that they haven't thought about. And, like, it is an intimidating environment to be in because they don't know how to deal with us. But use that as leverage. Don't use it as a disadvantage. It's advantageous to us to be able to bring those skills to the table in whichever way you want to do it. And you know, they often say, like, we've been hammered over the years as a women's property network to say that, you know, what do you girls do? Is it like a tea party, and do you get together and, like, you know? And I've always heard this, and, like, I kind of laugh it off, but it sickens me sometimes that they think that that's what we're doing. So I hope that we, you know, with all the tweeting and whatever we're doing and all the, you know, the social media that we're on, that we're able to say, actually, you know, like, take note, boys, there's, like, something happening in the background, and if you aren't looking after yourselves, there's going to be this whirlwind of women that are coming up that are going to give you a run for your money.